Okay. All right. I've actually never recorded on Zoom before.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the big difference of this one, and I'm going to make sure that, is that when you copy this, you're going to want to copy the teams, because then all the teams will come over and then you can just delete the ones you don't want. And this is important because sometimes people would go like Rangers Wrestling Club, and then sometimes people would spell out Shenandoah Valley Delete. So it's a lot easier if we keep the teams the same. Same names, especially when I compile stats at the end of the year. But so you'll go to settings, import settings like you normally do. The big difference here is that typically you guys do tournaments and teams, brackets, and you probably have the sheet that says everything. But the big thing you do not want to do is you do not want to bring in weight classes. Okay. In the past, we would press this because there was no weight classes for scrambles. If you bring in weight classes, it's going to try to force people into weight classes that already exist as opposed to creating its own. Okay. We are going to do teams and statisticians. Definitely want to bring in mats, and then you can just delete mats, separation criteria, number schemes, bout settings, weighing cards, mat assignment displays, and I think period lengths and to-do list. So basically, if you look at the video that I originally created, I think I had all of these, except I didn't have teams and I did have weight classes. So the only big difference is bring in the teams and then go into, and then don't bring in the weight classes. That's the big difference. Okay. And then, you know, the same thing that you guys normally do is you have to go to the users. So you'll have all these teams. So the first thing I would advise is that you go to statisticians, create your statisticians just for the teams that are going to be in your event. Then go to registration, go to teams, and then delete the teams that you need. So for instance, say CYA is not coming. I just come here and then hit delete team. Okay. So that'll keep it. So that's nothing. So now here's the big difference. So what I've done is I've already pre-populated some people. You're going to let people put them in. So you just go to bracketing and then you go to Madison block bracketing. Okay. So here comes the fun. And unfortunately, it's very hard. I don't know if you guys have a screen. I have what's called WhatsApp or a Snap, or not WhatsApp, Snagit. So I can like copy things pretty easily like this. I highly advise you do that. What do you guys think of the singlet my son is trying to create?
Oh,
My 14-year-old son, his mom was like, or his mom, my wife was like, no. I was like, why not? So, but that's the last screenshot. So the reason why screenshots are important is that once, so right, what's good about this is that I know this is all 4-year-olds because it says 4, right?
Okay.
But as soon as I move some of these people up an age, I forget how old they are. It does. You'll notice here it doesn't show their age. So it says all it shows you is their grade. Now, because they're pre-K, I know that they're not 5. It says their team, the separation criteria, and then it says their weight. It uses a 10% threshold. If you guys want to bump it to 12, you can. I actually didn't, but what I did is I started moving people. Okay. So the first thing I did is that we don't have many 14-year-olds, right? So I went to my 14s, and I'll show you. So we have a bunch here, and I said, you know what? I'm moving all of these to 13. So all you do is you click move to 13, and then I just, you know, copy Control C, and then I literally just, oh, what did it say? Type move. Oh, I guess it doesn't. I didn't know it was cap sensitive. Interesting. So this is what's tough, because usually in round robins you have a division, right? And the division would be like 5th and 6th grade, 6th, and so it's very easy. You don't have to do this, but unfortunately. Now I have a lot of people in this one because I wanted to make sure. So now what happens is that this is gone, right? There is no 14 anymore, and I can go to 13. So now 13, I have a nice group of people I can mess around with. Okay. But the problem is you can't really tell who's 14 and who's 13 because once again, that is. Now, this is the only age it's very hard. Most people are the correct age, or I don't want to say the correct age, but they'll go in here. Also, the bracket types, these are the bracket types that are options. So you have a 2-man best of 3. I think we used this once this past weekend. 2-man 2-place is just like our scramble. So that basically means just one match. A 3-man, a 4-man, and a 5-man. I would avoid 5-mans because it doubles the amount of matches. So if you could have 2 4-mans instead of a 5-man and a 3-man, try to do that. It's actually more matches, believe it or not. Okay. So right now, just to look at this, I currently have these people. You can see 76 to 78, 92 to 100. So this looks really good. You can see that I loaded a team from Outcast without separation criteria. So that's kind of a pain. Make sure that their separation criteria is loaded. I will check this because if you don't know how to rank these people, but you can see it actually kind of puts people together decently, but definitely because of the 10% range, it's not putting them in equally. Like I don't have 4, 4, 4, 4. It's doing it based on the weight. So a couple of things here. The 165 to 170. I got a guy here that's 170. This guy's 195. Say you wanted to combine these, you talk to the people, and Donovan and Christian are good. All you do is you just do move down a bracket. This is kind of weird because you would think it'd be move up, because move up in weight. Unfortunately, it's move down because that's actually physically going down. Okay. Now, I do want to show you something, and this drove me nuts, and this, you got to be careful. It's not like pairing. So pairing kind of does like a medium save, and then you create the brackets at the end. This one, the only way this will stay is if I do build bracket, but once I build bracket, this disappears. So just to show you, if I now go to 12, and I'm like, oh, I want to check out the 12-year-olds to see, let's go back up here, be like, I only have 76, 78. So there's probably some 12-year-olds I can move up, or I can move these guys down. So if I go to 12, sure enough, there's these two, right? So, and then it looks pretty good. So if I go back to my 13, you'll notice that these got messed up again. Yeah, and that sucks. So, so just to move down again. So now you say, well, Sean, if I want to save it, you can do that as well, just to show you. So if I do build bracket, all right, so I'm going to build bracket just for, actually, just do it for that one. That's why I really like that screenshot, because what I'll do is I'll make it and then screenshot it, and then I'll have to redo it later because I get very hesitant. So in this particular one, what I could do is I could create all the brackets, and then I just hit create brackets here. Or if I just want to do it, so let me just show you what happens when I create all the brackets. So now all of my 13 is gone, and I can't look at them. The only way I can look at them is I go to bracketing, and then I go to groups, and then I have to click on 13 and actually go one by one and look at them. So this is kind of like the finalized. So what I ended up doing a lot was this, and then coming here. And the only way you can get it back to pairing mode, I guess, or what we're used to pairing mode, is you have to actually delete the weight class. So what I was thinking is probably something that might have been better had I done it this way, is maybe I should have done something like this. Go to my 13s. Now, if you move them up, if you move them ages, they permanently go. So these people that I moved that were 14 years old, they're permanently. So one of the things I could have done is I could have unchecked all of these, because I'm not done with these yet, right? And I know that no one else is going to go in this weight class. So I can keep this one, create bracket, all the other ones unchecked, and now create bracket. So that's only going to get rid of that one. So if I had to do it again, I'd probably do it that way.
So if you uncheck the create bracket, you can save it? Is that what you're saying?
This doesn't save at all. Like if I were to do like move down bracket, move up bracket, and then I went to another age, it doesn't save it. The only way it technically saves it is create. And then guess what happens when you delete the bracket? It goes back. It doesn't go into how it was.
Okay.
That's why I said it's very helpful to have kind of like a screenshot. If you don't have this software, you can just print screen and then and then hit Control V into like a Word document or something.
Mhm.
So let's look on the other side. So right here, I have these people. So what I would probably do here is I would probably move these guys down. So to do that, I would probably go to move to 12 because they're really light. Move to 12 and then okay. So then I can go to my 12-year-olds and you'll see that they all got paired. So it's a 1, 2, and 2, so it's not too bad. Hopefully this guy's not a ringer. They're all within the same weight, and then you could just basically save that bracket and go forward. To be honest, I kind of did this twice. I did it, and oh, I forgot to show you guys how to. Let me show you that. So to go to Sandbox, so this is what you could do if you want to play around for a while. You can do it in my environment, or if you want to play around with yours without having to delete a bunch of stuff, because you could technically play around this, create your brackets, and then just all delete them. If you ever want to, you go to import settings. And then right here, you'll see click here to copy the current state of your tournament over to the testing site. So what's cool about this is that when you create it, it's actually all playland. You can take it all the way through number schemes. You can assign mats. You can do all this stuff, and it won't save it. Now, the one thing I will tell you, once you leave this screen, it doesn't save any of this. It's like an instant like snapshot. So Tick, what's up? Training people. I'll be up in a minute. Okay. All right. All right. So then you have to research for it. And then you go to the one that was in. And you do have to sign in again, but because you are already an admin, you can do that as well. So then you can come here. So you can basically play with it, and this is actually really good. So let's go to that 12-year-old weight class that we looked at. We can go through. So what I did basically here is I tried to put people together that I could. The goal that we agreed on is that for the most part, because we had 2 big teams and one, that's probably going to happen with you, Danielle, is that you're going to have a lot of people wrestling each other. So the goal was at least someone in the bracket was different. So there was times I would have something like this where I'd have 2 people from BSJW, but at least there's one JWA person. So these 2 will wrestle each other, but at least they'll get one person that they don't. Now I will tell you there was 2 brackets or 3 brackets that was only JJWA people. And what I did is I never created a bracket with them until we did our pairing meeting, which we did what, Thursday or Friday, I think. I can't remember what day it is. I think it was Friday. So for instance, so I would look through here. So here's a JJWA one. So 108, 117, these 2 are Red Lion, so I could do a couple things here. I could, just to show you, I don't know if I would do this, but I could potentially move this person down and then move this person. Oh no, wrong, move the wrong person down. Move this guy up, move that one up, and then move this one down. Or no, sorry. And then move this one down. Just to get, at least our goal is to get everyone in a round order of 3 or 4. Okay. All right. So just to show you, so this one looks all right. So if this was only 2, and let's say like, I could probably move these guys up to 13-year-olds. So what I could do is just uncheck this one, create brackets. Where'd my thing go? Create brackets. So then I still have this one, and then I move you guys a little bit. Move that to 13. And then I go back to 13. you can see that I just had a bunch of these come in. You can see they're 7th graders. So it's easier for me to tell that these must have been the 12-year-olds, right? Because you don't have 13-year-olds that are in 7th grade, right? Or for the most part. So then let's just go here. So I just want to kind of pretend that these are all hunky-dory. I literally just went through. So for us, we didn't have a lot of 4-year-olds. So the first thing I did is on both sides, I moved all the 14 to 13. I moved all the 4 to 5s just because it make it easier. So like obviously these people, there's not many. So, you know, that made it a little bit better over here. Maybe move this person 62 pounds. Maybe move them to a 6. What was I on 5, right? Oh, that's why. Oh, yeah, so you can't, I hit the wrong button. Yeah. So, and then let me just kind of go through here. So the goal is as many as you can get here, and you'll have some that you'll kind of share. So I'm just going to kind of fly through this and show you the other part that's kind of cool, but at the same time can be a little bit of a pain. Okay, so they're all done. So technically there's no looking in here. So if you take screenshots of things, you'll be fine. You can also, so what I did then is I then personally went through each one of these and started clicking like, all right, went to 4, went to these 2, looked at the people to make sure the separation criteria is here, everything. I can click on them to look at their age, go from there, and you can kind of go one by one. What we did when we did a review meeting is I reviewed them here because you can't review them in the stage before because you'd literally have to do it in front of them, right? And that would probably take a lot of time. So I basically went through each one and said, okay, here we go with 5 and everything like that. So what I didn't do is if all I had was one person I could not pair, or I had 2 people from the same team, I never bracketed them. So I left them hanging. So the first thing I did is I actually went through and I went through the Madisons. Okay, these are the people I couldn't pair. Let's make sure we think about them before we go forward, or as we are going through these.
Then how did you end up adding them to brackets? You just went back and.
So that was the tough
Like
part.
once the bracket was built, how did you go?
Yeah, so basically what I did is that once we agreed to move, I think it was Teddy, right?
Right.
We were going to move him all the way up. So unfortunately, what I did is I went back in to the group, and let's say that was the big heavy one, right? 13, and went in here to this one right here.
Okay.
And then I delete selected.
Okay.
Hit OK. Then I went back to pairing. So the question, Danielle, that she just asked is that how did you add people? Oh, it's fine. How did you add people to a bracket that's already been bracketed? So what I said is that unfortunately what you have to do is I went and deleted the bracket like I showed you. And then you go into the bracket going Madison. So in this case, I just deleted a 13-year-old. And then I would then take wherever that person was and then add them to this bracket. So that's what kind of sucks. Go ahead.
When you delete the bracket, does it go back to what it was before, or does it put it where you had it?
That's what sucks. It goes back. Yeah, it goes back to the original. So here's a great example. Do you remember I bucketed all the 3 of them together? So because I deleted it, it's still going to bring it back to how it was. So I would still have to do this. And then let's say and then I can't save it. So then let's say, because we had like was Teddy a 10-year-old? So I basically went to
He's
the 10.
actually only, I think he's about to turn 9.
Oh, wow.
He's
So
like
we
really
moved him
young.
up a bunch. So we went here and we just kept going add, and then we kept moving him up until he got to the 13, and then I just then added him.
Yeah.
So
No,
that-
I'm a 9-year-old, but he's about to turn 10, but because his birthday is in January, he's a 9-year-old.
Okay. Now, the other thing you could do, and I did this on the day of the event. What you can do is, let's say I have this 13-year-old, right? And I think I had a parent said, he's not really 74 pounds, he's really 85. So what you could potentially do, so say we wanted to move this 105-pound out of this weight class, because Hayden's pretty good, right? So Aiden wants to go wrestle better wrestler. So I could actually come into him here and move him to the 112 to 117 without deleting it. The problem with that is it kind of screws up with a lot of things. It's going to say, do you want to change the bracket type if needed? Replace wrestler with a bye if you're deleting redraw shift. So what happens there, just to kind of show you, and I didn't do this. I just did it at the last minute because I had to make a quick change. And it's okay, onesie twosies. But just to show you, if I now go to that group, so that was what, 13, I think? And 112, 117 now has 5 people in it. But you see how it still calls it 112, 117? Because Hayden was 105, it should have called it 105. But because I didn't recreate the bracket, I just moved someone, forced someone in there, it's not going to redo the weight class. So that's one of the reasons why I would be hesitant to do it this way. My advice is this does make life a lot easier. Last minute type changes, and that's what I did. So there was a kid that was like listed, it was our first session, was lifted at 52. They're like, he's not really 52, he's like 57, and he was already at the high end. So then I ended up moving him. So be honest, this is all much more pain compared to Scramble, but this is the main reason why it's better. So when you go to mats, I have created 10 sessions. The way I did this is that I have one, that's session 1, that's session 2, or no, sorry, this is session A, and that's mat 1, mat 2. So for Megan, you would use this exact format. If you only did 4 sessions, you could get rid of the 2 E ones.
And now, is this imported or no?
Yeah, this is like when you guys
one of the things I'm able to import.
Yes, this is one of the things.
Thank you.
So for you, Megan, this is already set up. All the number schemes are already set up. If you end up going with 5, you're good. If you're only going to do 4, delete the 2 E's. For you, Danielle, I think you said you're going to go to 3, right? 3 mats.
We're gonna try. we're doing 2 mats, 3
2
sessions.
mats. Okay, so then all you would do is potentially delete the D's and the E's.
Okay.
Okay. So
how many kids did y'all have at yours last week?
We had 115.
Okay.
So we ended up doing 150 matches.
But each group was in and out in like an hour.
Yeah, we were super quick.
Okay. And how much time did you leave in between your
30?
We did, right? 30. So we assumed we would be done in an hour-ish. So our slots were an hour and a half. And there was a couple sessions that ended in 45 minutes. So we had a good 45 minutes of just kind of hanging out. But other ones weren't. And so that's where I'll tell you.
We had to do it that way at our facility because the facility's tight and the parking lot's tight. So we needed time for the previous session that was finishing up to get picked up, and then the other kids to get dropped off.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about too. But I'm planning this, no offense, Sean, but I'm planning this with a bunch of men and they're like, oh, it'll be fine. So I'm going to cross my fingers that it works.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're only doing 3, you can do it here. And what's nice is this is the one advantage is that if I do, so this is 5 sessions. If I do 4 or do 3, just delete them. When I go to assign mats, it does it for you.
Nice.
And it balances it for you too.
Nice.
So it basically, and it does it,
So you didn't
Oh,
really have to move too much around.
what the hell?
Like
did
it
I do?
automatically balanced everything. Timing wise.
Eee.
It did.
I
Did
so
that
I
mix
did
all the ages in? You did move it because you moved all the ages around,
I
right?
did, but so I'm gonna have to redo this to see if the order matters, because when I didn't have to do it, and but the way I just did it today, it's got my 13s on mat 1.
Well, it's got them in the first session too.
Right, that's what I mean. I didn't have to do it. It put all my 13s at the end.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of, and this is why I'll test this out and I'll email you guys before you guys
Okay.
start bracketing, is that might have been because that's the order I created the brackets.
Hmm.
Do you see how these 13s are coming here?
Yeah.
So you did, if you did all the youngest ones first, it automatically.
Yes, that might not be it. I don't know. This is stupid. Why? So there's a setting I'm missing, I think.
But we could technically move that if we wanted to.
You can, but I'm going to be honest. This was one of the nicest things. Like I literally came here. All my 4-5s were here. My 6s and 7s were here, or my 7s and 8s. I don't know why this did this. Okay, there we go.
There you
Oh,
go.
what'd you just hit?
So I did maintain, order, and optimize.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
And that was under assign mats.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I was like, oh, yeah. So it basically keeps the order. Now you're going to have to play with a little bit. So right now, mat A has 51 minutes. This one has 33. So I would probably move one of them over there. And then, but you see how it kind of switched. The problem is there's this 18-minuter. So I would probably move a couple of these 3 minutes, you know what I mean? And just play a little bit. And I did do this while you guys were there. What we did is we backloaded. So like you see how like I have, so you can see I have 51 and 36. So we made our bigger ones at the end because we didn't want a domino effect. Like if you're late in the first session, then you're late all day, right? So what we did is we kept these kind of light. Like I would probably move this 90-minute over and make this kind of even, or maybe even move, this 9-minute over here, move this 3-minute, and then take this 9-minute over there, and then start playing around with it.
So you just shifted it. So the ones at the end were closer to the full hour.
Yeah.
And the earlier ones were closer to like 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah, so you can see the big culprits that change the mats is these 4 groupings. So 3 minutes is a 1-2-man. 9-minute is, or 9 minutes going to be a 3-man round robin, and an 18 minutes going to be a 4-man round robin. 30 minutes will be a 5-man. So if you see any that's a 5-man, that's pretty much going to be, this. So I kept everything 54 minutes and under for each one of these sessions. So this will kind of help dictate, Danielle, how big your sessions are. So like when you do it and you only have 3, if you're seeing like 99 minutes or, that might be too much, but it's up to you guys to decide. So this is actual wrestling time, not, but it ended up being about close because, you're going to have a bunch of pins and then you're also going to have some downtime in between matches. We went super fast because the room was small. The kids had nowhere to go. So we literally started like on top of each other. It was pretty good. The other trick I didn't mention on the call that I think helped a lot is that the referees would put the wristband or the ankle bands on the mat. So this way the kids didn't have to go check in, get them, then put them on, go to their coach. They would just go out to the front of the mat and the referee would just give them to them. That actually saved a lot of time. I think that was probably like, good 20, 30 seconds each time.
Yeah, because most of them just looked at the screen to see what color they were. They didn't have to walk over.
Yeah.
That was nice.
So you didn't have them come to the table at all?
A couple of them did, but they didn't need to because the screens were right. Like the room is tight. It's a small room. It's literally wall to wall, the mat.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they just didn't need to.
Well, I guess with less mats, there's not, when you have 8 mats running, you don't know you're getting the right kid.
Yeah.
So burning question, is everybody doing minute periods?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Even the big kids.
Yep.
Okay.
I think if we had the benefit of non-corona, then we probably could, but that we need to get people in and out. And,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, even some of our kids were huffing and puffing, some of the big kids. Okay. So when you're done with this, just like the old format, you just say save all. Okay. And then you go to your number schemes just like you normally would. And for you, Danielle, if you only end up using, so I started all my mat 1A at 100, so I did 200, 300. I wouldn't change these. I think this works fairly well. If you're only going to have 6 mats, then just delete 7, 8, 9, and 10. Not 6 mats, but 2 mats, 3
Gotcha.
sessions.
3 sessions.
And you can see they all start at 101. And here's a very key thing, and I'm going to show you guys this. Always start at 101 or 201 or 3, because sometimes you might need to, like, hey, I really need to get, like with Zach, I put Zach up the very first match, even though he didn't end up wrestling.
Right.
So I actually inserted him at, I think we were in the thousands. I inserted him at 1,000, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So then all you do here, and then remember, this is something you do. So what I did is I only did 1 session at a time. So I would come in here. I assigned the mats for everyone, but then because once you assign numbers, if you have to go in and delete people, it's a big pain in the butt. We were very lucky. We didn't have a single scratch the day of to the last
Gosh, that's
session.
a blessing.
Yeah. Now I did take scratches till 6 a.m. So there was a bunch coming in on Saturday, but we didn't have any Saturday night. So what you could do is just do the 100, 200, and I'll show you what this looks like. Apply selected schema, frozen like we normally do. And then when you go to bracketing, printing, team bout schedule. So this is the normal one that we always print for everyone. We actually, I don't know if a lot of people paid attention to the prints because they were right there. But what you'll see here is that, you know, some have bout numbers because I only did a couple of the schemes, the 1A and 2A. So that's what I did.
So, like, why would the 4-year-olds not? Oh, because they weren't in 1 or 2.
Yeah.
They weren't in A. Okay.
Yeah. So just show you, you know, I'll do all of them right now. And of course you go to your number schemes. Oh yeah, so then bout detail. So if you go to bout detail, this allows you to have all your matches. So if you ever wanted, so let's say I want to move this McCormick versus Grindle match to be the very first one, I can click this one. It's very important you click here, not this one, 14, and then I can actually make it 100. And then what you'll see is it'll actually move up to 100 and it'll be the very first match. So this is something I didn't show people in the videos because you can get complicated, but like I used to get this a lot. Hey, is there any way you can get my son in and out? We used to do 1 session or 2 pretty quickly, and then I would bump them up. You can duplicate too. So like say now all of a sudden you got Columbus versus Thorn. You need to move Thorn up there, but you can't use 100, but you're going to do 101. So it'll allow you to duplicate and you'll have 2 101s.
Mm.
So this will be a little confusing when the 101 happens, and then everything. So, and then, yeah, so you do the same thing with printing. Like we did here. So, and then, you know, you just right click and print just like you did before. It'll give their bout numbers. Exact same thing. It's keeping them all on the same mat, which is nice. Everyone that's on bout 6 is going to be in the 3rd session. And we'll do that. So
when on Saturday, on Sunday, when you printed them and you did 1 session at a time.
Yeah. So well, see, that's where it gets tricky, right? So like, if you'll notice, if I go back to assign mats, it's never going to split perfectly, right? I think one time it did out of the 5 sessions. So if I go back to mats and then assign mats, you're going to see like you know, if I just print 4, 5, and 6, right?
Right.
I'll
You got a
think I'm
7.
all right. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
have 4 here for some dumb reason. Oh, that's because I was screwing around with things. Yeah, so that's why there were some 4s, Megan.
Right, that's what I was trying to, I was like,
Yeah.
why is there a number 4? Okay, but that makes sense now. So you just printed session A.
Yeah.
So then we were able to have just the 4 and 5-year-olds.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but here's the thing, like, so for instance, I know session A is, so right the way it is right now, I have, let me move this guy over there. I have 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and 6-year-olds, and a couple 7s. So what I would have to do is I would come here, I go to printing, go to team bout schedule, and then I would just select 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then hit go. And then
Okay.
you'll see here that CYA these people don't have. And the reason why they don't have, oh, this is actually, don't ever print this format, but I would always do that. You gotta hit the drop down first. So do that. Now, the weird thing that gets, what happened with me is I did this for the first 2 sessions, I think, or maybe 3 sessions. And then session 4, I just print the whole thing out. And I was like, look, and of course I got
Here's the rest of them, right?
Yeah, here's the rest of them. But like, if I didn't do number schemes for session 2, anything that was in session 2, you would see bout question mark. So,
Okay.
which you don't need those. But yeah, I would just print this out, and you know, it does do page breaks, so you just give it to the coaches. They write the bout numbers. We actually didn't even write the bout numbers because, like I said, it was such a small area that we were actually pretty good to go for the most part.
Right. Yeah, I think Zach started to the first session. I was like, well, why are you bothering?
All right. So then the absolute worst thing, which I think I'm going to try to research, because there's got to be a better way. I might be thinking the biggest thing that I had to do is that how do you tell people what session they are?
That was my question next.
Yes. And unfortunately, I did it manually. So there's no report that I could find that would tell me what's in each session. So what I literally did is I did this. I went to each division. I went to my 4-year-olds. And I went into each one, and I literally copy and pasted them like this. And I took a blank sheet, and I just copied and pasted, went to the next one. Like this.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yes, and that sucked. And then while I was doing that, I also had a screen print of which ones, like where did my session stop, right?
Mhm.
All right, so then when I did this, how do I move you guys? So I'll show you what I ended up creating. Hopefully I saved it. Nope, I didn't. Yeah, so what I did is I went through everyone, and then like what I would do is as I was, so actually I'll show you the little trick. Let me just do one more real quick. So then go to 5, click in here. Where's my sheet? So then once I copied them, so I would just do it one session at a time, one per tab, and then what, because this is ugly, right? So then you just copy B and C like that into a different column and just paste special values, Alt ESV, or however you paste special values. And then you have that, and then I would literally write one next to them.
Mm.
Like this. And then I would just do data sort by column M to get rid of the stupid names, the titles, and then that's what I did. So I'm gonna try to play with it. I'm actually gonna submit a ticket if I can't. There's gotta be a report or a way to tell me who's on what mat.
Is it too early to print? Can you not print until you finalize everything? Like what you print to give the coaches?
You know what? I didn't think about that. You would have to do number schemes. That would be the big problem.
So you'd have to set the number schemes to print.
You'd have to do that. Yeah. I mean, you
before the
could
day
still,
of.
yeah. So yeah, and that would be a problem because then if you have to start deleting matches, then all your numbers get wacko.
Right.
Yeah, because you can print without the number schemes, but it will say question mark, but it won't tell you what mat they're on.
But if it doesn't tell you what mat they're on, then you wouldn't know what section they're in.
Right. That's the problem. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to, so basically what there's got to be a way to basically, I need to map each person to each weight class that then maps to the mat. And so that's what I did in Excel. I basically printed out each person in one of these. I did all of these. And then once I did that, I just copied the one for each one of them. And then I did the same thing for those, same thing for those, same thing for those, same thing for those.
So if you did the number schemes and you printed that for the sessions, if you had to make changes that day, you wouldn't make changes to the sessions, correct? Those kids would still all be in session 1. But then could you go back and change the number schemes if you had to?
Yeah, you can redo the schemes. You can delete all the bouts. But then
would that cause like an issue the day of?
Yeah, it could potentially. I've had it where I've had like 2 105s or like people get out of order. Now it might not do as much in Mason or in round robin. But here's the problem that I had. And I don't know if you guys will have the same thing. I was getting, everyone wants to know what session they're in as soon as possible. So I literally did my pairing meeting on Friday, did this exercise and then sent it out.
So you let parents know Saturday?
I think I sent it out Friday night, right, Megan?
I think so. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Friday because I think you actually sent it out like right after the meeting. I think.
Yeah, I just had to do this, which sucked to an hour. The problem is when you delete people, it then messes with the number schemes. Because I don't think you can delete the number schemes. That's the problem. Yeah, that's it. That's the big problem. So there is no like delete. There's no unapplied. You can't like delete all the bout numbers. You can unfreeze them and then redo them. But I think they get all kind of crazy. If I remember right. Because what's going to happen is you might have to open. If you just have to delete people, I think you're fine. Because I'll show you what will happen there. So let's go into wrestlers. So say we have to delete this Kyle Athy. So we go here, delete participant, delete. So on the day of, it says change the bracket type if needed. So if it's a 3 or 4, it's going to drop it automatically to a 2, 3. And then replace by this doesn't matter because it's not like a real bracket, right? And then you hit finish. Okay. But then let me go into assign mats. So they will stay on the same mat, which is good. And then you'll have to come in here and actually redo the applied schemes because now you're going to have less mats, right? actually, and you would be able to tell. You'll start getting familiar with these weight classes just by looking at them. So I would know what weight class I just removed him from. So all of a sudden that mat gets a better time. But it won't, as long as this is saved, it won't actually shift them from one place to the other.
So after you deleted them, you had to go back in and do what?
I'm gonna have to hit save all here.
Oh, you just came back to assign mats and it just changed the time.
Yes, gonna change the time. I hit save all just to make sure.
Okay.
And I would have to go to number schemes here and then reapply the number schemes. And then you would want to freeze existing bout numbers. This is if you've already written people's numbers. If not, you can just do leave for a stone. It all depends when you're deleting people. What we agreed to do is that any scratches in the day of, you just skip them at the table.
Is that so that's what we did, like?
That's what we did with Garrett. We were very lucky because we didn't have a lot. Now, we were very lucky we didn't have any. So what I expected to happen, Megan, is that like someone from JJ would be like, hey, for session 3, Sean, Jim, this is like in the morning, Jim is out.
Right.
Then I would have time to do what I just did, because I would just go in my own little hole that I was in,
right,
redo it, and then redo the amount numbers. But if it's definitely right of, just do them there, because it's a lot when you're trying to delete people and then you have to redo this the schemas.
So just skip you're just saying just skip the match.
Yeah, if it's the day
I like
of.
that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
So we don't have to, like the day of, I don't have to delete anybody. I can just say when you get to this match, skip.
Yeah. So, and this is where it goes in. So if you've already done number schemes and you got that problem where you're kind of deleting people, if you wait to do number schemes of the day of,
right,
you're good, because it's a quick step. It's just, unfortunately, it's a pain in the ass to tell people who are in which session. I'll do some research to see if there's a thing, but to be honest with you, I don't think there will be, because.
So number schemes are done, you did them the day of, is that?
Yes, I did them per session too. So like when we did the first session, I actually unchecked all of these. So
before you applied the number schemes.
Yes, I just wanted to wonder, because I was worried that you might come in and say, hey, Sean, session 2, I have a delete. So I didn't want
Right, okay.
Yeah, and that was the big thing when I first learned this, and I think Matt was the first person that showed me how to do it at Kiel. He's like, don't ever do number schemes early. He's like, if you want to do it to make it look like, to see how many bout numbers you have, because that's the other thing that pisses me off. You can't tell how many bouts you have until you actually do the number scheme. So if you want to see that, then do all this in Sandbox.
Okay.
Okay. Also keep in mind is that when you play in Sandbox like we are right now, it takes your current status. So if you already have the brackets built and the only thing you want to do is just play around with number schemes and see how to delete and add people and fool around, you just take a copy of it at that stage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's what I did.
At any point, you can get in there and play around with it.
At any point,
yep. Things around. Okay.
But
whatever was already done.
Doesn't save.
What's that?
Whatever you do in the box does save and transfer over to your real event.
It does not. Not. So yeah. So that's one thing that had happened to me once. Is I think a couple of years ago, I was doing a scramble. I think I did everything in here, and I forgot it was in here, and I had to redo everything. So yeah, because this and not only there's no save button, like as soon as I click here, it's gone. So
yeah,
any change that I made. I'm trying to think what else.
Okay, here's a silly question because I forget. How do you get out of Sandbox? Like once you're done?
Oh, just close.
Just close it out and reopen it.
Close it out. Yeah. So then I would come in. I would
and just log back in.
Now the other option is if you're only going to do 3 sessions, you could potentially do a scramble with 3 splits. But it depends on how many. Are you guys the only big team that's going, Danielle?
Yeah.
Okay. So scrambles might not work that great. as long as you guys are okay having kids wrestle each
I
other.
actually really like I like this version. I think it's going to take some time to get used to not saving when you move page to page, but I like how you can move. It's the matchups seem easier, more easily made.
Yeah, I think they are. The problem is because we decided to make the divisions ages, they don't automatically group. And so that was, a couple years ago, it was very bad because then a 9-year-old or no, an 11-year-old could be paired up with a 14-year-old. Wait, was it 9 and 10? I forget our old divisions. It was 10 and 11. Yeah, so a 10-year-old could be paired up with a 14-year-old because in the old way that was two different divisions, right? And we had a separation criteria of 1. So when we switched it last year, it avoided all that crap. You had no more 5-year-olds wrestle 9-year-olds and all that stuff. But now for round robin, it screws us because technically we could go back to 10U, 11U, 12U. We'd only have 5. You wouldn't have to move people up. That is another idea, though. I didn't think about doing that. You could, right off the bat, move everyone into those U's if you wanted to. So you could go right off the bat, move all the 4s and the 5s and 6s all to 6U. Then move all the 7s and 8s to 8U, all the 9s and 10s to 10, all the 11 and 12s to 12s, all the 13s and 14s to 14. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
And just go in and manually move them.
Just do it right off. Just do it right off the bat.
So but basically just manually create those divisions.
Yeah. Well, manually by just moving them and then just pair with them. Now, the one thing that sucks about that is once you do that, you don't know how old they are anymore, right?
Oh, right.
You can kind of guess. The other thing is if you can pair a whole foursome within their own grade, that's awesome. You know what I mean? And you'll lose that capability. So even like when we paired in the old world, like last year, we would try to pair within age first, then we would allow it to go up or -1.
Right.
And sometimes you might not want to go up. You might want to take 7-year-olds and move them down to 6-year-olds instead of 7 moving up to 8, right?
Right.
So, but that's actually, I think the next one I'll probably play with that first in a sandbox to see if it's, because you could do that because the more people you have together, the easier it is to make the brackets, right?
And you'd be able to tell just by kind of looking at each individual age group before you move them.
Yeah, and you can do that
that's
too.
That's going to work or not. Okay.
So what I did automatically is I moved all my 4s to 5s and all my 14s to 13s. That was automatic because I didn't have many. But I think we ended up, if I remember right, we had a bunch of 5s. We had 3 5 weight classes, no 6s because I moved the 6s to 7s. So it kind of worked out a little bit like that, but a little bit different. So
yeah, I feel like it was those kind of like that 10, 11, 12 were. And like there was like a couple 13-year-olds that you had to move to 12. And
yes, I did have to move some 13-year-olds to 12. I had to
and I feel like that it was like that. It was in that group of 4 years.
Yeah.
That they had to move up or down differently.
Yeah, I think it's a good format. The one thing I would say is that I don't see us doing this every week because kids are going to get sick and tired of running. Like,
well, and that's because I talked to Zach last night and one of the other coaches, and I was like, "What are we doing this? Like, what do you guys want to do?" And they both immediately were like, "We want to do it the same way." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." I said, "But just realize that we're going to have a lot of like some of the ones that were wrestling each other are going to be wrestling each other again."
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things you might want to do, Megan, is print out all the results from what we did this past week and just have it like next to you and maybe just try
how am I able to do that?
Oh, okay. So you can just enter as a viewer.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you would just search, I'll show you right now real quick.
Okay.
So just search for MDWL. And it's this one, preseason Rangers.
Right.
And then you just enter as a viewer.
Okay.
And you can do this on your phone too. Some people do it on their phone. So you just go to results and then go to team results. And then you just select your team. And then you just print this out. And then what you would look for is JJWA against JJWA.
Okay. All right. That's good.
So like here we go, Grayson Roper. So here's an example of a class where Grayson and Class wrestled each other and Griffith wrestled Class, right?
Right.
So you might want to be like, okay, you know, this can happen again, but maybe I kind of moved some people around. So,
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I think this would be one thing, you know, after a while, especially I think with the three of our groups, since we have the three biggest teams.
Yeah.
Either that or you say, hey, the other thing that Joel was thinking about when we could talk with us is like if everyone's doing these is maybe you send half your kids to one place and half your kids I don't know.
Right.
So
Yeah, because they talked about like just age groups and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. So just like all the 6, 8, and 10s come to
Right.
JWA and all the 12s and 14s or whatever. That might be something we have to do if people keep
Right.
doing this. So
They just really liked the sessions.
yeah, and then the other
how
thing that
well it worked out.
yeah, and the other thing that's kind of cool about it is you get to see who's in your session.
Yeah.
Like it's like a bracket, right? So like if you're in a 4-person bracket and you're up second, you know the match in front of you is probably the other 2 people in your bracket, right? So it keeps people more in tune, more people watching. I think that's what Zach said too. So
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
So can you give me your timeline, Sean? I still have not created my event. I just got the.
Well, I wouldn't
confirmation
until
that
we
he-
did this today, actually.
Okay.
So I didn't want you guys to create it until you decided which way you were going to go. And,
Okay. So I'll create the event tonight. Then what was your timeline? Like, when did you have everybody make sure that the rosters were updated?
He was waiting on me.
okay. Well, ours was a little bit different.
While.
So ours was different because we had a venue change in the middle, and we actually had a meeting whether or not we were going to do it at all, because we were supposed to do it at our venue. It wasn't available. But I think we said noon on Thursdays.
Yeah. That's what I was planning on. Like if I create it tonight,
Yeah.
I'll send out an email in the morning and just tell them to have it to me by noon on Thursday.
Noon on Thursdays, meeting on Friday, and then the rest scratches. If you can.
So then you would do your part on Thursday night and then meeting
Thursday night and Friday during day if you can. I have an ability to multitask. If you can, but my goal is to do it Friday night. It took about an hour. So it's true too. I did it later. I think we did it later after the kids were either settled down or and yeah, and I just literally went each group at group, and then I had scratches. So what would happen is we had actually a handful. I think Willie Walters actually had the most.
They did have a lot.
Which
They're
was
little
surprising.
ones.
They were a small team. I guess once they found out mom and dad couldn't come in the room, some of them left. But so that got tricky. And basically what I did for all of them is I would go to their weight class and I would say, okay. And I would literally just go back in, because this is the toughest part, to be honest with you. And it was a lot easier, in the old format, because you just unpair the matches that you need to. Make sure you guys name it. I think everyone was pretty good at that. You don't have to call it round robin. You would just call it like week 1, like we did last year, 2021. Where is mine? So let me bring you through an exact thing. So this is what happens. They don't obviously know the weight class or even the session potentially off the top of their heads. So they might just say, hey, Joey Bauer is a scratch. So what I would do is I'd go to Joey. All right. I would search first because, I'd search on the name Bauer. And then I would go them, and then I would actually go to the weight class. Now, for some reason, Joey's actually not in a weight class already. So did I undo him by accident? Oh, or did I do all that? Oh, I did all that in Sandbox, didn't I? He was 6, right? Forgot I did all that in Sandbox. Let me just do a couple here real quick. So yeah, so someone basically says, so you go to registration, you go to wrestlers, you search on Bauer. Bauer comes up, he's in the 46-49. So what I would do is go to the 46-49 and be like, okay, he's in a 4-person bracket. So for this one, I would probably feel okay deleting him because I'm okay because I'm deleting a red lion. But if I was deleting the BSJW guy, I got a problem because then I got 3 red lions together. Okay. So let's pretend that's happening. So let's pretend that Francis is actually the one being deleted. So what I would do for me, I'd screenshot it. All right. So I would actually come here. I would actually delete the weight class. So you can delete there. All right. And then I would go to the next weight class. So there was a weight class that was 54 to 54 and 44 here. Okay. So then I would kind of look here and be like, all right, can I move people from that weight class? Well, I forgot how much they weighed. So I had a 46, a 47, a 47, and a 49. So I deleted the 47. Could I combine this 46 and 47 and 49 with these 2? Well, I could potentially, but this is where it gets fun. I was like, well, I could probably combine them with this person, but maybe I have to move this person down. So what I could do here is once again, delete weight class. And then I go back to the 6-year-old weight class. And then I have these 2. So what I would do here is move this person down. And then I would move this one to the 5-year-olds. Then I would have to create brackets. Okay. Then I go back to my 5-year-olds. Oh crap, I just have one person. So now I have to go find a place for him. So I go to 44. So he was 40. So then I would go to my 5-year-olds in here, find where my 40-pounders are here. This one's only got 2. I forget what person that was. Do you guys remember what team that person was from?
No.
So just shows you how to do. So go back to Madison. Go back to my 5. That was from WW. So I'm in luck. So I can move my WW there. It'd be nice if I could just kind of move him manually now, but I can't. So what I'll do is go back to my bracketing groups, go to my 5-year-olds, and then I'll go to this one with the 2 BSW. So this actually works out well because you don't want those 2s wrestling. I will delete the weight class. Go to bracketing, not bracketing, go back to Madison. Go to my 5-year-olds. Okay, they're all together. I'm happy. I create brackets. So a lot of what I did is toggling between Madison, which is, think of Madison already approved, and group divisions is already approved Madison's before you saved. So I did a lot of what I just did every time I got a scratch. I would ungroup them. I would research where they should go and then regroup them. The day of, you could potentially, like I said, go to wrestlers, go to, Jake and this guy, and you could actually try to move them. Just keep in mind the drawback to that. Like I said, it's not going to carry their weight over.
But you said you didn't do any day of scratches. You just canceled that match.
For the season 5, I did have in session 1, someone say, hey, my kid doesn't weigh 52, they're 56. Can you move him to the 56-pound luck? So I was very lucky. I moved him from a 3 to another 3. So basically, or I moved him from a 4 to another 3. So basically I was lucky in that I moved him from a 4, which then gave me a round robin of 3, to another round robin of 3, which now made a round robin of 4. So I was lucky. Now, if I would have moved him from a 2 to a 3, that's a problem, right? Because, or if I move him from a 3 to another 3, then I have a set of 4 and a 2, that's a problem. So that would have probably caused some problems. The other thing we did say, Danielle, we didn't talk about this, is that if there was any, which I don't think we ended up having, Megan, but if there was any team on team that people didn't want to do because they're practice partners and they get too much of each other, or they just don't like each other or whatever, we just said, you can just skip the match at the table, because you don't want to, because one thing I found out, and this is another thing, you cannot delete a bout. So like if you have 12 matches within a big round robin, so say you have a round robin of 5 and it has 12 matches, you can't go in and say, I want to do all these matches but this one.
You just have to skip it at the table.
You just have to skip it at the table. So that was one thing that was annoying, because what I was going to do is that everything. Now, the other thing I did do is you can trick the system. So if you do want to create just like an extra match for someone. So a good example would be, let's go to my groups. So say you have an 140 pounder that is willing to wrestle Christian Norris, but you don't want them wrestling the other 2. What you can do is create a second version of that person. So you can create a Christian Norris 2, and you can actually do that by going to wrestlers. Go to add participant, and then I actually would create, I would do Christian Norris 2, and then I would not put them in, I would put them in the age group. So let's say 13 here, weight class. I'll keep weight class empty, existing team, the same team he is, and then I'll put his weight. So let's say 145. So now when I come to he should be there. Yeah, so you can see Christian Norris 2 is now in here. So that's a good way that you can do like one-on-one matches. I did that actually, unfortunately. It was for Zach because we couldn't find anyone for Zach. We found a 145-pound kid. I put Zach in there, and then I put him against Garrett Leone too. And then of course the kid gets sick. That was my one scratch. So this is the only, like, if you want to create a match between 2 people, but you don't want them wrestling the other people within each other's bracket, you can create 2 versions of them and then just create that one match, and then you can place it wherever. I don't know if you'll have that. Typically you'll have that at the bigger people. We actually lucked out because everyone was cool, and we ended up having a bracket of 4. I think all 4 kids were like 150 or 160 and above. And of course the big kid, which was 197 pounds, won all 3 matches, but I don't think anyone got hurt. So.
Cool.
Okay.
Danielle, are you the one who sent out the contact list? Who sent out the contact list for this?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I didn't. Maybe it was Brooke.
I think Brooke used to, right?
I'm just, because
Yeah.
we need to know who we're putting in, right?
Yeah, and well, so I don't know if you guys know that. So there is a little trick, and I wanted to show you guys this. So I was actually do it for Red Lion while I'm here. So if you go to setup and go to users, if you just want Danielle or whoever the admin is for Red Lion, just to see their green envelope, you can literally go to add statistician. You can call this person stat, and then admin or stat RL, username, whatever, password, whatever, email, just use donkey@yahoo.com, and then just assign it to Red Lion. So this will actually, I don't even think an email gets sent out. And what's interesting is when they go to the season. So now I'm hopping over the season. Of course, I have 2 different passwords for these. It drives me nuts. So now when I go to teams, I go to Red Line, you'll see the green arrow. So you don't really technically have to make them a statistician. You could just do a bunch of generic ones. I've done that.
So I could just do like, okay, so they don't like if they have access to it, once they click on the green thing, I didn't have to enter anything, right?
Yeah, once they have the green thing.
Username and password, I didn't have to enter any of that, right?
Well, I just created and made up one. So I don't actually use people's real names and stuff like that. Now, that's not the official way you should do it. You should put their real name and their email address. But all they need to do is have access to this to put people.
Okay. So that's all that I have to, okay.
Yeah, so that's the only thing you really need for the people. And then you have them put in by, I guess, noon.
And then, so then I don't need to worry about, well, no, I do need to worry about emailing them though. That's what I'm talking about, like to be able to email whoever I'm supposed to contact for each team to tell them to have their roster uploaded. But I just didn't know, because I don't remember who sent that email out.
Nick just asked Ben tonight for a contact list of the coaches. I don't know if Ben has it.
Some people have changed. Like I didn't even realize the head coach of BSJW is no longer involved. So.
The one, yeah. Okay, so yeah, because I know it was sent out earlier. I just couldn't remember who sent it, but it's changed since then even.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know that I received that.
Yeah. Oh, maybe we didn't. Maybe we just filled out the form and then we never received a copy of it.
Yeah, I don't remember receiving it, and I don't think Nick received it either. He asked Ben for the information tonight.
Okay, so we just need the email. Okay.
Yeah.
Just have them do it. You guys should be good to go. Just make sure you're always pushing people from the green. You guys make sure you do have to create a statistician for yourself or for your own team and go from there. And then I think I told you, Danielle, that we have one person we're going to send your way. I don't know if you saw that email.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what you'll do is I'll send it to you. So you just make sure you create one for the Rangers and then go from there. Now there is one thing.
So I'm going to invite you to our.
Yeah, well, just keep. So when you create your event tonight, just don't delete the Rangers. Remember, the first thing you need to do is go and delete all the teams you don't care about. Just don't delete the Rangers, and then you'll have to create a statistician for the Rangers, and go from there.
Okay.
And then I'll just add that one person. But there is one thing that you can do. So this is one thing that I just found out, and it does actually work. So one of the things that used to drive me nuts is I would be creating scrambled pairings, and I would have parents starting to contact me that were coaches. Oh, dude, my son's wrestling so-and-so. So you can actually not, and that's because a scramble doesn't have a division, so you can't control that. But because if you're doing a round robin, there are 2 settings you can actually do. And I'll show you. It actually made my life a little bit easier. And also got me a lot of text messages on Saturday night on who was wrestling who. So let's see, deadlines. Okay, so under setup deadlines, so this is something you've never been able to do before. you have two deadlines: when you release the information to the public and when you lock out statisticians. We've never played with these, so this will default to the day of the event at 7 a.m. and I kept it like that. Now, I never use this. Rob does, because I guess he got burned really bad once. So you could basically say at 5 p.m. on Thursday, I'm not allowing you to upload your roster anymore, because what could happen is, say, Daniel, you create the event, you do all these pairings, and then I go in there Saturday at midnight and I add 3 wrestlers. That would screw up things, right? So you can lock out the statisticians. So basically they can't add or remove anyone from your event anymore. Or even vice versa, I could go in and remove people too. So I think, now here's where the problem is, right? If you do that and someone calls you Friday morning and they're like, hey, I need to add Billy, then you have to then change this date, allow them to add it, and then change the date back. So that's kind of tedious, but it's better. So I know Rob does this because I think I had to add someone on late and he was like, dude, can you let me back in? So, but we've never been able to do that. I would keep the information in the public. I don't know if you have parents that constantly check the night before, because when we had pairings, people would do that. So it was revealing. I would just be like, oh, it's out there. So, and then at 7 in the morning, it gets.
They would literally be checking as we were creating them.
Yep.
From practice, and we'd be like,
oh,
are you serious right now? Like, yes, we are creating them now. Just close it out and shut it.
Yep. So what's nice about this is you could do all the legwork and they can't see anything. No one can. The only people that can see is you, actually.
I like it.
Okay.
And then the same thing.
I have another question. On Sunday, like to start each session. So is that why you only did, you know what I'm saying? Because like the first session was the 100s and 200s.
Yeah.
So did it just start, like, how does it?
So I was going to ask you this, Megan.
I don't know how to ask that question.
Yeah, Megan, so one question I'll ask you, have you guys ever run a meet using Trek, or did you guys just print out?
No, here's the thing. I run them for the past few years. I just forget every year.
No, I thought, Megan, I thought you guys, I couldn't remember, maybe it was Willie Walker
I
Eagle.
did the 2 separate sessions last year, but remember I registered them as 2 different events.
Right. No, what I was trying to ask is that I know you've done Track plenty of times, but I thought there was a team that would use Track, but then they wouldn't actually use it.
That's Willie Walters.
Oh, that was Willie Walters.
Willie Walters.
Yeah, and then he would go back and manually enter all that stuff.
Jeez. Okay, so I was confusing you. Yes. Yeah. So you just do those at the table. So what you would do is when you do that part where you're operating, like using the worker. So there's a video on that because I don't have one that's.
Yeah, I'm blanking on. It's at the table. Okay.
Yeah, it's at the table. So each person logs in with their worker. Remember so basically, let's do setup users. So you guys will have 3 types of users when you're done. You'll have workers. So you can do just one worker ID, or you can do worker 1, worker 2. Those are the people that are going to be run the table.
Right.
Have an admin. Sometimes you'll create a generic admin for multiple people to use. I'm a control freak, so I don't do that. And then
and it's just okay. I'll figure it out. I'll remember it once I get it.
They should be able at the table to choose their session.
Yeah, so once they're at their table, they'll be able to choose
they'll choose the session. Okay, I just couldn't. I'm blanking, and I did not run a table on Sunday, so I was forgetting.
Yeah, so they'll choose the mat. So you'll have one that will go to mat 1-A and one mat 1-B. And once they choose the mat, then it'll be only bouts. And then also remember, if you run ahead, you can have people then start adding from other mats. So that's not something you do.
Yeah, they can go in and from
the table.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first thing. Like I was like, when someone said that, I was like, oh, how do I do this again? So they just go back out and go in. The other thing that's nice is you guys probably remembered you had to manually do the periods last year. Like even it didn't import for whatever reason. This does actually import, which is nice.
Okay.
So just to show you, if I go to bracket types and I go to 3-man round robin and I go to period lengths, you used to have to go in here manually and enter them. Oh shit, why didn't I copy over? Oh no, I think I just missed one. So I'll make sure I update the 6-year-olds here. Shit. Let me do that now before I forget. That's weird. Yeah, so you're 6-year-old. Oh, because I didn't have any 6-year-olds last time. That's why.
All right.
Just make sure. Yeah, so they're all there. So this will actually import over, which is awesome because we used to always have to do it in the scramble. It wouldn't do this. Oh, you know what? Let me do this too because I didn't have any 14-year-olds. I don't think you'll ever either. You'll probably, I don't know if we'll ever get enough 14-year-olds to keep them at 14, but maybe we will. I don't know. So.
Okay. And then you'll send the recording of this at the end, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I just don't know where does it go? I guess
It literally, so when you end the meeting, it'll pop up with a little window that says that it's converting the meeting over. And then when it's done, it just goes to your documents in your computer.
Oh, okay.
And then I think it comes up with like 3 or 4 different, I always just choose the bottom. I think it's like the whatever.
Okay.
And Google automatically has a folder. It's like Google Meet.
Well, that's why I'm wondering, how do I share this? Because it's going to be huge.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, because I pop it in my Google Classroom at school for my students.
I
that
have
don't
to put this
watch
up
my
on
meeting.
YouTube, which even that, it's going to be what, an hour long or so.
Yeah.
Sean, what is all the YouTube videos that you have posted previously? What do I search for that?
Oh,
Do you have
I
a
can send
name?
out. I always have to, so I created a whole bunch of them.
Mhm.
Let's see. MDWL.
I'm gonna have to go back and refresh.
Yeah.
the basic-
So like a lot of these are like setups, but like scoring. So if you forget how to score, so what I do, Megan, is we send this out to all of our. I made this actually like 3 years ago. I send this out to all my table workers, and half of them don't damn watch the damn thing and come the day like
Right.
they wing it, including my wife the other day. Yeah, but you guys will probably do. What the hell is this in here for? Arcade garage. Nothing but a G thing. What the fuck? Move that to another place. Yeah, so for you guys will be this setup. So this will walk you through all the things that you should set up and everything. The big difference now is you do not want to import weight classes, and you do want to import. And then also don't copy the one this one tells you to. Copy the one that I just did for you guys. And then track pairings you wouldn't watch at all because this is a totally different.
Right.
And then load roster, I think you guys are good on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send this out. Let's send the whole list.
Well, thank you, Sean. This was very helpful.
And then, yeah, if you have any, I'll be driving out of Myrtle Beach on Friday for the parent duel. So if you guys need any help on Friday, after you start putting stuff together, feel free to ask. And I'll be
Thank you.
available most of the weekend. My cell phone, I can send it out to you guys. So. Just text me. I think I know Megan has it. I'll send it to you, Danielle.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So do I hit stop share and then I just close the
It's
browser?
when you end the meeting, it's you can stop recording, you can stop share. It's just whenever you end the meeting, it'll convert it. So like when you hit leave and then you hit end for all.
Oh, got it. Okay. Sounds good. I'll figure it
All
out.
right. Yeah, it's not,
All right.
it does it for you.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much.